Hello, welcome to another episode of Somewhere Between a film and TV podcast. We are your hosts. I am Daniel Parra.
And I'm Erwin Trout.
And number one, thank you so much for listening and watching. If you could, what are they going to do?
Oh, you ask me this all the time. They can like and subscribe.
They can like and subscribe.
If you guys want to.
And if you're still on Spotify,
please comment too.
Please comment. Yeah,
yes. Hateful comments. Actually.
It's great for us. Don't do that, please. Don't do that, please.
I need to be humbled once in a while.
Night. Erwin.
Yeah.
What do we like to do here?
Right? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's on TikTok. Okay, I don't know. It's like King Baldwin.
Who?
Not my name, but.
No, your name's Erwin.
Yeah, King Baldwin. It's like.
If you were bald,
guy? What? I wouldn't be your friend.
Number one, that
Daniel hates cancer patients.
I would change your name to Baldwin instead of Erwin, and then I would text you.
I respect that.
And then I'd be like, I saw you from a mile away because it's so sunny outside. Actually, I probably wouldn't be able to see you because the reflection of the sun going straight into my eyes would probably be so severe. And I'd be like, do you get that waxed?
If you heard that rooster.
Sorry. Waking him up. What were you talking about? What TikTok?
Okay, so there's like this trend or something where it's like, okay, you know how I sent you that ones where it's like aura?
Oh, whenever it's like, carry a drink around so people know that you're never thirsty.
10,000 aura points. And I'm like, what? They're so funny. And then, but there's this one where I guess there's an edit from a movie. I don't remember what movie.
Yeah.
But it's with like this king. And I think his name is King Baldwin.
Okay.
And he just puts his hand up like this.
Yeah.
And
wait,
it's like
are you
a hard
talking
edit.
about?
It's with Jeremy Irons. He's in it.
Yeah, there's a movie that's going around that they decided to Sigma edit.
Yes.
That everybody's like, why this movie?
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the exact movie.
Yeah,
but I know what it is.
Yeah.
Because I saw something about that.
Yeah, it's just like, of course, I watch a bunch of Sigma edits.
Yeah,
and then
to
like get ready for the day. To get ready for the day.
Get ready for things.
Yeah,
that are
to be able to take a massive poop later. But
that's probably just you on the toilet. I bet you're probably like, this goes so hard,
and then like I go hard, and then I'm like, oh crap, it's coming out hard.
Aragorn would never have to go through this.
Yeah, that edit too. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
What do we like to do here?
Talk about Sigma edits
every once in a while. We review movies.
Yes,
and occasionally we get off topic. Imagine you're walking out of a theater. I actually did see this with a friend this time, one I know quite well. And you'll want to talk about the movie whenever you go outside. But if you're us, we can't talk about the movie because we have the rule that we won't talk about it until we get here. So we just sort of circle around the subject.
It's just funny to me. Every time we do, and we always end up talking about the movie.
But
somehow.
Like in a weird way. Yeah. That's like, Austin Butler's had a year.
Yeah. And then, man, it's just, yeah.
So, speaking of Austin Butler, we are reviewing the Bikeriders. Everything we review will always have full spoilers because that's how we like to get into depth on things. I don't know if there's a whole lot to spoil here. This is based on true events and based off of a photojournal, but we'll fully get into everything in a second. But with that being said, I'm going to ask Erwin a few separate questions. What do you think of, I believe it's Jeff Nichols' filmography, and what were your thoughts on this movie? Were you excited about it? And what do you think of, there's a lot of questions.
I'm like, whoa.
So let's start off with one at a time then, because I have two more after that.
Damn.
What do you think of Jeff Nichols?
I don't know him.
Well, I do.
I don't know much about him. I've only seen two other movies that he's made, which is Midnight Special and Mud. But I saw those two movies in high school.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching Midnight Special at around midnight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you were like, whoa.
Oh, this is crazy.
Did you see it in theaters? Or
no, at home.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why. I didn't mean to, like... No, that's how it's
I watched
it at home. And I was like, let me take a step back.
I didn't mean to accuse you of literally anything.
I didn't watch actual Mud, too. Like, there's a movie called Mud.
I mean, you would. I know you.
Yeah, I mean, I would stare at it for a while.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow,
You're
that's mud.
it's getting grosser. Like how Shrek bathes in it.
No, that's nice.
Whenever I was a kid, I had this
Yeah.
body wash with Shrek, and it was called like mud body wash. And what it did is it turned the water into like this fake mud. It looked disgusting thinking back on it, but it
Yeah, how
was.
did you felt like as a kid?
I don't really remember. I remember being like, "This is so awesome," and then it came with shaving cream, which is
Oh,
just like fake, but you put it on you because I think there's a scene where he shaves
yeah.
in Shrek, and I'm sure it was
Yes.
from that. But no different. I don't. I don't even remember if it smelled like anything.
Anything with Shrek, amazing.
Anything.
Anything with Shrek.
Okay.
Anything.
Even the movies, like all the movies.
Yeah.
Every YouTube video pertaining to him.
No.
You said anything.
Yeah.
I'll take that as face value. Rule 34 Shrek. Look it up. So.
No! What are your other questions?
So, what do you think of Mud? Do you remember anything about these movies?
I know Matthew McConaughey is in it. That one kid who became Cyclops in the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
That's it.
I remember you loved Midnight Special when that came out.
I did.
Because
But I don't remember anything about Midnight Special. Adam Driver was in that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Back in his like early part of his career.
Mhm.
I think that was 2016. I'm pretty sure that was after Force Awakens at that point.
Mm.
So my familiarity with his filmography is we were just looking at his IMDb beforehand. Apparently I've seen everything except for his debut feature. I know he likes having Michael Shannon in literally everything.
Oh yeah.
And I loved Mud. I do remember not like the dirt that turns, slippery, but like the movie Mud with Matthew McConaughey. That was back whenever he was going through his like 2013 like era of
like Oscar.
Yeah, just being an amazing actor.
Yeah.
Where he had Interstellar and then he had Mud.
Dallas Buyers Club.
And that one, which I remember really liking but never loving.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those movies where it's like, wow, the performances are great.
And you're like, you can tell though this is very like Oscar bait centric movie. And I do also remember that I liked Midnight Special. I didn't love it when it came out. And I remember that was a movie that was like received in a way that it was on a bunch of the best of the year list. And I just never really felt that way about it. But I did really like it. I remember that much. And going into this, were you excited about it? What did you know about it?
Or were you somewhere between?
Well, we'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
Because thank you for reminding me to say that.
I think I was excited about this movie like 2 years ago.
No, yeah. Whenever it was premiering at film festivals.
Yeah, and it kept being pushed back over and over again.
Yeah.
But I think I was excited because of Tom Hardy. Because I love Tom Hardy. Mm-hmm. I love every time there's a movie with him, I always go watch it.
Yeah.
And so I was excited to see him. And was her name Jodie
Comer? Yeah.
Yeah, Jodie Comer too. Like she was really great as well. But I don't know. And this is like even now with Austin Butler, he just always reminds me of that one like that cool hot kid from Disney Channel.
Oh yeah.
Like he always just shows up as like dating the main character.
Even remember what he was in Hannah Montana, right?
Yeah, he was like not just in Disney, but like also in some like Zoe 101. Yeah. He was also in as well. Like that's who I remember.
Who was he in that?
He's in his 30s.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was in his 20s.
I thought the same thing too, but he's in his 30s.
He's like blowing up now.
Yeah.
But I love Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Also, there is a certain thing about Tom Hardy that I don't love, that you don't love either. And it's the fact that he seems very intent on only doing Venom movies. And I don't love those. And
me too. I don't love them either.
So, like, even whenever I can even express this to you based off of the fact how people feel about those, my brother-in-law, when I went to go see Bad Boys again with him,
Bad Boys.
He was, like, right next to me and the Venom trailer came on, and then he, like, leaned over right away. He was like, dude, yeah. And I was like, I don't get this. And
yeah, I don't see the appeal.
About the Venom trailer.
Yes.
We talked about it previously, but it's one of those things where I know that he was the co-writer on some of them, but he also improvs a bunch of his own stuff on that. But
what is Andy Serkis? Like he's directed other movies, right? Like I know he directed the Jungle Book one.
Yeah,
I did not see that one. He directed some other ones, like I know Venom 2, but
he's directing that Gollum movie that's coming out,
yes.
I think. And I don't know how that's going to be, considering that they, literally did that at the beginning of Return of the King. We talked about it. You should watch that video, by the way. And I love him. And
I love him too. Andy Serkis or
Andy Serkis and Tom Hardy, but Tom Hardy specifically right now.
I love Tom Hardy.
But what's your favorite performance of his?
Oh, I was thinking about that Warrior.
Warrior?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking about that recently because he was making a comment about how he was like, I take roles for adults, like older adults. He was like, because I'm a little bit uglier now.
No, he's not. He's not.
And then I thought, does he look different? I guess he does.
He looks older, but like he doesn't. Yeah. I don't think he's ugly.
While watching the Bikeriders, before I fully get into my thoughts, though, I did think Tom Hardy in Warrior. I kept thinking, I could imagine him being the Austin Butler character in this movie. Or, I don't know if you ever saw The Drop with James Gandolfini.
Oh, no.
He quite literally is the Austin Butler character in that.
It's like all silence and like that Ryan Gosling thing.
Yeah, which I do want to talk about what you think of Austin Butler's performance in here in a second. But we actually reviewed Elvis a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And I know we had different thoughts on it. I'm fairly certain.
I don't remember what my thoughts were.
Really? I remember you really liked it.
Okay.
I loved that movie.
Okay.
I've seen it like 3 or 4 times.
I do remember having like one of the Elvis songs, like 1 or 2 of them on my like top 10 on repeat playlist on Spotify.
Like Can't Help But Falling in Love.
Yeah, possibly.
Song that they use for Coca-Cola commercials. No. I love Mad Men.
Oh, okay. Then no, I don't remember.
And Jodie Comer is from a show that I believe is popular.
Killing Eve.
Which I've never seen.
I've never seen either.
And I've heard great things about it. But I did love The Last Duel a lot.
Yes.
It massively underperformed when it came out. So if you still haven't seen that movie, do yourself a favor and see it, because it is amazing. And Ridley Scott was better than one of his... He puts out very hit or miss results. And that's a huge hit.
He's like Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, though, does that thing where he just does one take and then he moves on, which is why, is it 15 of Paris or something like that? The one where you got the real people to do it?
Yeah.
And they're heroes. They're horrible actors. But are you familiar with motorcycle culture at all?
No.
Not at all?
No, not at all. Oh, yeah. No, Wild Hogs.
So if you're going to make Wild Hogs 2, did you see that William H. Macy was like,
no, what?
I'm ready for Wild Hogs 2 if they ever want to make it.
That's amazing. The amount of times I've seen Wild Hogs is insane.
Dude, me too. And our friend Darian, you know that?
No.
His dad is obsessed with Wild Hogs.
Oh.
And so was my dad.
Oh.
And I don't know if your dad was.
I think it was just always on.
You know how they talk about dad movies, but they're usually like dad movies are Top Gun Maverick or Ford v Ferrari.
Yeah.
No, dad movies to me are like nonsense 15% on Rotten Tomatoes movies.
Like, what's that one where it's like RV? For like with Robin Williams?
Fun fact about that, I saw that the day that came out with my grandpa because he really wanted to see it.
I remember like we saw that movie and then we went to Mexico for a family trip.
Yeah.
And then with my grandpa at the time, my dad literally gave him like a bootleg version of RV because that's all they had.
Was it on like a camera recording or oh my god?
But like that's because like my grandpa loved RV.
Yeah.
I was like,
I remember my experience with that movie was originally we were supposed to go see the Disney movie Into the Wild.
Oh.
With it's like inverse Madagascar. I can't really remember what the deal was. They want to go to a zoo, but
no, they left the zoo.
Yeah.
They left the zoo and they went to like this island similar to how Madagascar is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what happened, but I saw clips of it because I was recommending that to somebody.
Yeah.
And because I was like, oh my God, like there was this movie Into the Wild. I remember really enjoying this movie. And then they watched it and they're like, Erwin, that's a terrible movie. And I was like, what? And they showed me the scene.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, this looks bad.
Dude,
I'm like, okay.
You can't recommend something based off of your childhood experience.
Yeah, you have to watch it again at least like, as an adult.
No, you're like, look, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But no, I saw a Letterboxd meme that I really do relate to that was like irrationally rating movies really high because you're really nostalgic for them.
Yeah.
And not being able to give them like a specific kind of score under like 3.5 stars. Which is, I was like, look, if you see my 5-star Scooby-Doo 2 rating, number one, that's not irrational, but I don't know how else to explain
I
it.
think that fan base just grows more and more.
Scooby-Doo?
No, at least for like those movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm day one fan, so I want to ask you, what did you think of the Bikeriders?
What did I think? I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you love about it?
I think I love the three main performances in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
which is Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, and Jodie Comer.
Yeah.
And I love how fast paced it was.
Yeah.
Because it went. I know this movie's like less than 2 hours.
It's like an hour 56 or an hour 57.
But it felt so. I don't know. It just everything happened so fast. But I think it's just because the dialogue between each character. It just felt so like innocent and real. And especially when scenes when scenes happen where they were really intense between another character and all, you definitely felt those moments. Like especially when what's his name from Walking Dead?
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, when he showed up and he started talking about it's like, oh, I came over here to visit you guys because I came to kill that person right there. You're like, whoa, what? Like,
he brings a kind of energy that feels dangerous in this movie because I don't know. I'm kind of with you. You sort of reserved, like you paused on your thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm not so certain on me loving this. I loved a lot about it.
Yeah.
I know I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
But there was some stuff that detracted for me, more in terms of the fact that I needed things to be expanded on. Not that there were any certain actual kind of grievances with the movie itself. It was more about me wanting more of certain things.
Oh, okay.
But in order to get to that, I want to state my positives. This is based off of a photo journal by, I believe his name's Jeff Lyons. I will keep on wanting to call him Adam Lyon because of
Feist.
Yeah, Mike Feist.
What?
That's his name.
Oh, I don't know.
Who's really good in this, but isn't like, you can tell that they filmed this a while ago because some of the actors, like, I don't think they anticipated this coming out the same year as Challengers because of how like integral he is to that movie.
Yeah.
He's just in this. And I remember him being great in West Side Story, of course, which we've touched on before. But I think that the absolute standouts of this are the leads. Jodie Comer, you're sort of put into her lens throughout the entirety of this. I will say the structure of this movie I thought was fascinating in that it gives a sort of leeway into introspection and this ability to narrate what's happening through, because you want to be asked questions, and I think it's supposed to also mirror how the photo book plays out, where it's just pictures and you're sort of like piecing together what they are going through. I thought that my first thing, like I want to say the biggest positive I think I have outside of the performances is that I caught on to this fairly quickly, that the cinematography in this feels picturesque in that it feels like they're going for images.
Like the similar to how like the photojournal is.
Yeah.
I see that. Especially like at the very end when they started telling how everyone like what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like past the whole motorcycle gang thing, or if they're still currently in it during that time. And because a lot of time it was just centered between the character and then they're just talking and what they were like doing and all. So
no, even some of the beginning moments, whenever you can tell that this movie and all the characters in this movie love one particular character, and that's Austin Butler's character of Benny. And the shot that he first appears in, whenever she like, it's that whole love at first sight, but conveyed through a camera, where you just see him like, it sort of pans into him and he's like flexing while he's at the pool table, and you're like, that's a cool guy right there. I saw a bunch of tweets that were just like, there were a bunch of old women that kept on like saying stuff out loud about him.
He's in his 30s, so I'm like, he didn't know. Yeah, he does not look like he's in his 30s whatsoever.
Everybody in Dune 2 was like, oh, he's so bald, he's glistening.
You didn't make fun of him.
No, he's got hair. I mean, he's super bald.
They're all bald. His entire species are bald.
Oh yeah. No.
All the Harkins are bald.
You can tell that Dave Bautista's got a little bit of something at the top.
I think, a wrinkle.
I love, there's one particular every single time they go into the riding of the motorcycles, and you can tell that, like, I thought that this movie ended up being a bit more, I don't want to say artsy, but more kind of art house than I think the trailers let on. Maybe it's because the trailers sold a certain thing. I felt like this movie didn't have a plot necessarily, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but I think it was more like they're trying to, this movie's about being immersed in a world, and that world being lived in. What did you think? Like, what was your experience in terms of how it was presented?
Or like the way it was shot, or just
really anything in general, the way it was shot. How do you feel like the atmosphere was in?
I don't know. It reminded me of other movies. Like, it reminded me of how like Martin Scorsese would tell like his movies.
Yeah.
In a way where it's just like the characters are telling you what's going through, and then at certain times where it felt like the character in the movie is talking to you, but they're not really directly talking to you.
Yeah, they're talking audience. To a different person that is representative of the audience.
Yeah. Basically, I guess like the journalist in the movie.
Right.
So like Mike Weiss's character. And so I don't know, it's like every time I watch those type of movies, I always think, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting and cool, like how they would like just showcase a movie this way.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just a constant reminder of me. I'm like, I love that. Yeah. I love when you're able to, it feels like the characters are talking to the audience, but not directly to the audience.
In order to fully like integrate us into what's going on instead of just, I mean, there's also ability to just show instead of just telling in terms of like, I would say Blade Runner 2049 was very much, there's no narration in that. And even so in the original Blade Runner, you know how they had to add narration for the theatrical release, and then it was poorly received because people didn't like that narration.
Yeah.
But if it is within the intent of the story that they're trying to tell, then I do really like it the same as you, because you know how sometimes I feel like sometimes there is a tendency to over narrate in movies. I would say, I mean, it's one of the worst movies ever made, so this might be a bad example, but
Movie 43.
I hate that movie, but no, I don't know if there's narration. I'm talking about like Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh,
and Avatar: The Last Airbender, where at the very beginning they'll add this like exposition dump that's like, hey, here's this world. We don't really want to show it to you, so we'll just explain it to you instead. Here, it's more about sort of weaving and like integrating all of these different elements to coalesce in this one large sort of narrative. I don't know if you ever saw Casino by Martin Scorsese, but that movie I think is over 50% narrated, but it doesn't feel like it because that feels like the story. That feels important to the movie. Goodfellas is the same way.
Wasn't The Irishman?
The Irishman had a lot of narration in it, but Martin Scorsese has a tendency to do this thing where he will have the first half be heavy on the narration, and the second half kind of takes off after that, because you're so immersed into the story that's being told that then the second half, like, you don't need any more explanation of what's going on.
Yeah.
I will say, though, in terms of, since this movie is so kind of plotless, it feels like it very much is just about the rise of a motorcycle gang, which wasn't even necessarily a gang at the beginning. It was more of a club. And I thought that it was funny. I feel like this movie's about a few different things, and one of them is about it's actually kind of interesting that they made a movie that I think is about this, but that like he's so me persona. And the way in which I say this is because of that scene where Tom Hardy is watching Marlon Brando on TV, which I laughed out loud at, which I was meant to be funny, but he starts copying his mannerisms.
And his wife's like, what are you doing? What are you saying? He's like, no. And I'm like, that's happened.
Whenever people say like me unlocking a new personality while I watch whatever movie.
SpongeBob SquarePants the movie.
I have to be Patrick Star.
Me too.
Or whenever Dune 2 came out, like you see Fade Ratha and you're like, okay,
I get it.
Let me walk out of the theater and start like slitting people's throats. I can do that. Oh wait, they do that in this movie too. Not his throat, but like he cuts his face. Yeah. What did you think this movie was about? I found that it was about certain things. I'm kind of curious what you sort of had a takeaway of from it.
It felt like, I think at one point they were telling us about a story about a gang and just how that gang itself grew like to like its popularity, and it like definitely spread throughout like the country, right?
Yeah.
Or is it just because? Okay, I just want to make that clear because I know they were saying like Vandals, and then it's like other places, and I'm like, wait,
what branch or what chapter are you in?
Yeah, and I'm just like, wow. It's like it's insane how much it grew.
Yeah.
But then also the effects of being in a gang and knowing like the culture around it, as well. And I don't know. I think the one aspect that I kind of got not really, I don't want to say confused or anything, but more so I didn't realize how much of it just had like two different stories I was telling. One, it was just like about the gang itself.
Yeah.
But then also just with like Austin Butler's character and Jodie Comer and like their relationship through that as well. And you just get to see that like how they want to leave. But of course, like Austin Butler didn't want to leave that life.
No, behind. I don't think. But the thing was, it was sort of like you're not really reading into Austin Butler's character all that much for a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
You kind of have to assume what he's thinking.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting. There's a point in the beginning and a point at the end where, I mean, there literally is a scene where both Jodie Comer and Tom Hardy are like, have you seen Austin Butler in a while? And they're like, no. And it's basically just them going like, God, that guy's so cool. Like,
it's like he rode with like other people. Yeah. And then rode like to the sunset basically. And you're like, all right, what is he doing now?
Until he like came back around. Yeah. He's one of those characters where, you know how George Lucas said that thing about Jar Jar Binks whenever he was let me explain. There's a
talk about the Lego set again.
Which one?
The dark
the dark Millennium Falcon. Yeah. Where it has a Darth Jar Jar, a Beach Luke.
Wait, Beach Luke?
Yeah. He's just like a bum.
Oh. And I don't know why I was thinking Luke Skywalker in a swimsuit.
He's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. Oh.
There's a Jedi Darth Vader. He's all white.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's based off of the show that's coming out, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's like a Lego show. You know how they used to do those, the specials and stuff?
Yeah.
And I remember I miss the Lego games. I mean, I could literally play them if I wanted to.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
Because I haven't played that like collection of all 9 of them that has also Mandalorian stuff in it. But I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
And I'll show you that set whenever we're done. But there's a famous quote with George Lucas where he said, I believe this is George Lucas, where he said, everybody needs to be thinking, where is Jar Jar Binks anytime he's off screen? What's he doing? Where is he?
No matter how many times I watch Phantom Menace, I never go, where is he? Where is he? Where is he right now?
I did during the sequel trilogy whenever I was expecting him to come out and be like a Sith Lord the whole time. You know, if Palpatine wouldn't have been behind it and it would have been Jar Jar and it was the exact same movie, but that was different, that would be a 5-star movie.
I think everyone would accept all those movies and be like, you know what? They weren't as bad as
I don't think anybody would know what to say. They'd be like, that's such an insane choice. You can't really like.
I just thinking about it makes me happy.
You know, this is why we're not in charge of Star Wars, because we do things just to like
piss people off.
Yeah, I would put that "I'm writing Han Solo" song.
It's just him dancing.
Have a full musical number. And I would put that in scenes he's not even in. Like imagine like a huge orchestral version of that during like the third act of like a climactic fight or something. Man. Think of, let's say, Revenge of the Sith, the Battle of the Heroes segment, but they put that instead.
Oh man, sounds great.
But I did actually get that out of this. I thought that Austin Butler had that effect where you're like, anytime he's not there,
what is he doing?
Yeah, what is he doing?
I get that. I got that feeling too. But I don't know. I guess whenever you told me how people were describing his character as like the character from Drive, Ryan Gosling and everything, I see that. Yeah. Because he says very minimal things.
I haven't seen a character exude that kind of energy in a while, that like actually do it, that stoic, quiet, what is this person thinking energy, because in order to sell this movie, you need to have really talented actors, which they do.
Yes. I don't know, it's always a constant reminder of like, oh, like you get what he's thinking or even what he's feeling just through his actions. Yeah. And like what his ambitions are and like where he puts his standards in to like not just like through the other people in the movie, but just like where he wants to be.
Yeah.
And he makes it very clear, like throughout the whole movie.
His whole thing is about the love of, like, the feeling of being on a motorcycle.
Yes.
And I understand that this movie, to me, felt like it really wanted to be Goodfellas. Mm-hmm. It's missing a few things to achieve that level for me, but that's one of the best movies ever made.
So I did get that feeling, though, whenever Alamo Drafthouse was showing, like before the movie started, like even the trailers, where he talks about outsiders and trying to get that same feeling, too. I did get that feeling, too.
This more so felt to me like The Outsiders than it did Goodfellas. Like, I see where the inspiration was for that, but I remember loving The Outsiders. Yes. I know that we had to study S.E. Hinton in that book in high school. I've read it quite a few times because of middle school and high school. Yeah. And that movie's actually really great. I remember loving it. And I think that has a young Tom Cruise in it, I'm pretty sure. Yes. But I see why so many like old school Hollywood actors are going to bat for Austin Butler. I think even Denzel Washington said that he's like an amazing actor. Yeah. I think he needs one huge role in order to fully like get into like that consideration. Yeah, I agree. But he does remind me of I was gonna say young, but I guess he's not that young. Like,
because I thought he was like
DiCaprio kind of.
He looks like he's in his 20s. Yeah, like early 20s, but he's.
No, I thought the exact same thing, but I guess not. Yeah. But we haven't even touched on the person that we were most excited for.
Oh.
In
the movie. My bad.
Yeah, we're not in this movie. I would fall down on a motorcycle. I wouldn't be able to ride it.
The amount of times I've like been on a motorcycle and I'm just like trying to like stay stable the entire time. I'm like,
I don't know how people do it. It looks like
my brother doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just. I don't know if he got his license yet for it or he's doing it now. But
is he more of like a? Do you know what kind of motorcycle?
No.
Because I know that there's like it's sort of divided between people that ride like the Kawasaki's, which are the ones that Tom Cruise rides in like the Mission Impossible movies.
Oh, those are cool.
And then the old school, they remind me of like Duck Dynasty, and they remind me of if Norman Reedus were a vehicle, he'd be a Harley Davidson.
Yeah, I don't know what type of vehicle my brother likes to drive. Probably the Harley Davidson one.
The ones that are like really high up.
Well, not really high up, but I think it's just more like.
Well, you know how the handles will be like upwards,
like this.
And then and they're like leaning back.
Dude, remember my motorcycle bike?
Erwin actually used to be a seasoned motorcyclist. We used to be bike riders on the.
I mean, we did. We used to ride our bikes to school.
On the way to school. Yeah, and we get really sweaty really fast because we're big children.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
and I have to change my shirt when I got to school.
Oh man, yeah, I had this motorcycle bike that my dad had, and he let me borrow it whenever I had to get to school and everything. And I remember bringing it to school and like everybody was like, "Whoa, what type of bike is this?" Yeah. And I'm like, "It's my motorcycle bike." And even though I had to pedal like a motherfucker going up those hills. And then I remember times
so low to the ground.
Yes. And then I remember times where I'm like, when I was going up a hill, I was like, I'm done. And then so I would just be on the side just carrying that. Because I'm like,
you used to walk with it.
Yeah, because I'm just like, this is hard. Because the bike itself was heavy. Because it had like those big tires and everything.
The fat tire.
Yeah.
Because they're called fat tires.
I mean, they were huge.
Because like a beer is named after that because of that. Like those.
Okay, I don't know anything about beer.
Well, I don't know either, but fat tire's a thing.
Okay.
I'm not a beer fan, and I know neither are you.
Yeah. I like fruity drinks, though.
Me too. I love cocktails.
Yeah, me too. No, wait. No, wait.
I thought your rooster was about to go off again. Be like, what'd you say?
The Rizzler was going to go off? Oh, my rooster.
Dude, I've been watching the Star Wars movies in theaters again.
Yes.
His name is Lando Calrissian. And
dude.
So whenever they say it, I can't get it out of my head. Because like he wouldn't even change his name.
I have an idea. We need to make an edit.
Because you know how in Empire Strikes Back, there's a moment where it's like, "You are beautiful." And you're like Lando Calrissian.
I see the edit. I see the Sigma edit that I'm gonna be watching every morning now.
He's like walking out, and then
he's like, "You are beautiful."
No, he's like, "This deal gets worse all the time." And then
I can't.
And then we could put the scene of Han Solo dancing again. Because I think he's there with him, right?
Yeah.
In that like music video.
I think so. Yeah, and it's like Chewbacca too.
Yeah. And then the stormtroopers are like,
in the background.
Is that canon? I hope it is. I want to ask you what your negatives are with this in a second, but I do want to touch on the fact that I also think that this movie's about kind of identity in a way also, and this sort of masculinity and how trying to be tough even though you're not and trying to copy that can lead into sort of conflict, because like you said, the more
like with like Tom Hardy's character.
Yeah, Tom Hardy, and the way that you can tell that in a way I think in a father-son way, he loves Austin Butler's character in this. He wants him to like, because I don't know if he like wants to live through him as if like he'd rather be him, or I think it's that, because Jodie Comer even has a line where she introduces Tom Hardy's character and she was like, I think that he always loved Benny because Benny would rather, he doesn't care about anything. And he was like, he wished he could have that, just not care about anything, which is why the final scene when they're together before Tom Hardy like dies out of nowhere, which is another one of my positives because I want to touch on that in a second. But first, whenever they say that, like, why are you here? Because you can tell there's actually something on his mind, but instead of really addressing the issue at hand, he says nothing. And because you're like, you can feel that there's just this sort of like loss of something. You just don't know what it is. And you get that kind of feeling from his character, I think, which is why I also think that leads into the sort of decline of the golden age of their club is what they're talking about. Yeah. Because whenever all the younger guys get back from Vietnam, they say that they're like, we are not like what we were before. Yeah. And it's sort of this loss of really actually the love for something instead of like being able to push that. And then it becomes this loss of trying to act tough and trying to be tough towards each other and following all these rules that were kind of made up and don't really need to actually be followed. What did you think?
You said so much, man. I think I disagree with you. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely got that sense with Tommy's character. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I got lost in your eyes. Like, I was like, wow, yeah. And then I'm like, wait, what?
And you're like, I love you.
Oh, wait, give me a second. All right, just play the edit.
Of what?
Just a Sigma edit right now.
Right now.
I need it. Koba!
Oh, yeah, I have a bunch of those saved.
Yeah.
That's why William H. Macy said that on Wild Talks, because he had Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Because I was like, who's interviewing him? What's he in?
What's he in?
But did you have any takeaways from like the second half? Because you know how they are sort of aping the...
What? Why'd you say that?
Goodfellas.
Like how do you use aping in a sentence?
Aping means to sort of extract, take away, to like kind of take something and be inspired by, or...
So is that what do apes mean then?
It's just like, you know, that's how I can describe it.
Okay.
But what did you think about like the back half of this movie in terms of what it was saying about sort of like the culture?
Of the gangs and everything?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure you hit the nail on the head on that, to be honest. And I think they definitely showcase that, not just with like Tom Hardy, but like the other characters in the movie as well. Yeah. Like, because even with the other characters, you definitely felt, at least for me, I felt something with them as well. Yeah. Like his best friend in the movie that died as well.
The way he dies,
it wasn't nothing. Yeah. It was nothing had to do with nothing with the gang or anything. He just died by accident. Yeah. And it just, even that, it's just like, just made everything about the gang itself go down.
No, and it kind of, the family sort of blames them, but it's not really like they had much to do with it. It's just that he happened to be driving one day, and then
he was just riding the motorcycle.
And the way that they were casually talking about it, it makes me wonder what motorcycle club culture is like. I kind of wanted to like see if there were any videos on it. Yeah. My only familiarity with it was growing up. My dad used to make me watch the show all the time, where they used to do that like Harley Davidson auto shop show that was on. Was it like the Man Channel, the one where they have
Spike TV, or
the one where they have Mansers? Yeah. It was like,
I still remember when you were talking.
Have sex with your car.
No, please! I don't want to be a man anymore.
You know, like Christine.
Who?
Christine.
Who's Christine?
Isn't that the Stephen King movie, or Titan, where she has sex with the car?
No, is that what it's about?
Yeah.
No.
It was more about more than that.
Okay.
That's not the only thing that it's about.
Yeah, that's kind of gross. Why?
Make a 3-hour movie about that? No, about motorcycles.
About motorcycles? Having sex with
motorcycles?
motorcycles?
Rev your engines.
Lando Calrissian.
Lando Calrissian. You don't even need to do anything.
Yeah,
just say his name. Yeah.
But I want to emphasize the Riz.
Lando Calrissian.
Damn, that's good. I have to say that to a couple people.
Well, I mean, they're going to be like, what about him?
No, it's in the name, guys.
Han Solo.
Because I'm alone forever.
They did not need to explain that. In that movie. It's like, I'm alone. Solo. It's okay. Critique for a different movie.
Yeah.
What were your flaws with this, though?
I would say, because I do agree with the whole, they could have added more to it, and the aspect that they could have added more was just when that one kid they casually mentioned.
I liked, but yes,
I liked him. I liked what they were going with it, but I feel like they just casually dropped things where about the gang itself, where it was going to be completely different from how Tom Hardy's character wanted the gang to be.
Yeah.
And you saw that with the other characters showing what the gang is supposed to be and how it was leading off from it. But dropping off those where violence and drugs and people who wanted to be more, and they were showcasing that throughout the movie as well.
Yeah.
I wish that they could have expanded that more.
Because they're the perpetuation of the like, this is what's wrong and this is the decline of something that started so innocent, where Tom Hardy literally only starts because they're riding and he like, it's that scene where he puts his goggles on and he just says, I want to start a riding club, and he's like, why? And then he's like, all they do is talk about them, we actually race them. And then he's like, well, we could do both. And he only started it for the love of it, and then it like transformed into this whole thing that wasn't what it originally was. And that kid, I thought whenever they first cut to it, you're like, who is this? And then it keeps going, you start to realize what they're doing. And I loved all that stuff. But in order to make the final scene more impactful, like how, because you're sort of wondering, that's going somewhere, but where?
Exactly.
And whenever, like, I think the scene is great with Tom Hardy's sensibilities of how he thinks in this movie, where he talks about how he only admit that one person, and he agrees, and then he gets upset about it. Because
it's crazy how that kid got into the gang because of another branch, like some other city way further away, and then he's like, all right, now I challenge you.
I thought
that's insane,
because this movie had a lot more humor than I was anticipating, and it was very funny. But the scene whenever they say like big, whatever his name is, they're arguing in the laundromat whenever it's like, is he big or is he fat? And they're like, I don't know, one or the other. And with
the wives,
and then the guy's like, well, I don't want to kill you, because I thought that scene, I thought he was going to come across more aggressive, but then they're like, literally after that, they're all like, all right, you're you're good. And it's a simple fact that his character thinks like that, where he's like, if anybody's going to have an idea, I want people to think that it's me. And he's like, but I mean, it's their idea.
It's a good idea, but it wasn't my idea.
This is like, so I'll make it my idea. That's why I love about Tom Hardy in this. He comes across, you are supposed to think that he is dangerous in a sense, but he is
dangerous.
In this movie, yes, but he also seems a bit more empathetic and friendly than you're anticipating.
I think it's because he couldn't, because it's what you said, though. He just loves motorcycles and just being a part of something. But he also couldn't let go of what he really is, like, outside of that, too.
I mean, Jodie Comer even states one of the themes of this movie. She says everybody wants to be a part of something, and that's, like, really all he wanted. And he just wanted that sort of group because he felt lost as an adult, where he's just, like, sitting there watching TV and, like, looking for something. And, of course, I think that Austin Butler is supposed to be the ideal, that like that's what you want to be. But I will say, I love, before I get into my negatives, I think the ending's incredible. Whenever she's like, we're happy, and then it like goes through the window, and you can tell, she's like, does he ride anymore? And he says no, but then like he turns his head and you can tell that his like eyes are lost, and you can hear the motorcycle revving in the background, as if like he's not the happiest he could be, because that's what's on his mind. I thought that was amazing. I don't know what you thought of the ending.
I thought it was great.
Yeah,
just the way it ended. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I feel like you're just saying everything I'm thinking about right there too.
I mean, we might not have the same negatives. Do you have any other negatives?
No, that was mostly it for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess
I wish it was longer though, but
yeah.
At the end, longer with the sense of like what the other negatives around being in a gang and all. But
yeah.
other than that, that was mostly it for me.
I love the atmosphere in the world. Everything feels very. This is 1970
Yes.
and 1973. Like you feel the time period, and I think that's great. That's hard to do, and I think they very much do it. Do you
have a favorite time period?
I mean, the one I'm living in.
Yo, nice.
What about you?
I don't know. Probably 1930s.
I know Taylor Swift's that one whenever she's like, I wish I could
ignore what I said.
Be in the 1830s whenever.
What?
Yeah, she was like, can I be in the 1830s without any. It was weird. I'll read it. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But she came under fire for what she said because it was dumb as hell. Is what it was.
So you hate Taylor Swift?
I'm not a fan, but
I know you're a human. Yeah, you like that?
I did like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
Got you flustered, huh? I'm not a fan.
I'm a living, breathing human being.
I'm living the Vida Loca right now.
From Shrek 2?
Yeah.
I thought that it felt too abbreviated in the sense that this movie.
What do you
I think genuinely it needed more time to breathe.
Yeah. And everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this movie's trying to do that. Like it reminded me, like, you know how Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is very much like, all right, we are just going to be like living here for a little while. It felt like that. But I guess Austin Butler's also in that. Maybe that's why I thought of that. But that's sort of the feeling it was evoking to me. But then the movie just kind of ended. And I mean, that's fine. I thought that whenever Tom Hardy gets shot, you can feel the air literally like leave from the movie itself. And I think our theater, because our theater was sold out and they seemed very responsive to it, which was cool. I hope this movie does well because movies like this, old school, like crafted things in the summer, like this should still be coming out. But it was just that. And I think since everything was so truncated and like, I just wanted more of it. And I think the whole point with the kid wasn't underscored enough because of that. And this is also a positive in that I just wanted more of everything. Like I will watch this movie again. I really, really like it. And I think it has a good amount of replay value. But that's really about it for my flaws. I think like it's tough to say whenever people
There's not really a lot of flaws in this movie. So
I thought it was really well crafted. I thought that the sound design, whenever they would like hit their, I guess, pedal. Don't get mad at me if I say anything wrong about motorcycles. But they hit something and then like the engine explodes. There's a couple moments whenever it'll be like a really quick cut to someone's face and then it'll cut to them like hitting the thing to get it to go. And the revving just like explodes throughout the theater. I thought that was really well done because you can tell that that's sort of whenever they feel most alive, just based off of the sound design in that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's another positive and not really a flaw.
Dang, all these positives, one negative.
Yeah. So I guess we can start wrapping up then.
What's your score?
What's your score? You usually go first.
Yeah, but I asked you first.
Okay. I am giving this a 4 out of 5.
Hey,
I thought.
Wait, me too.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna give it higher than that. Actually.
No, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5.
While watching it, I was enamored with it, but while like going home, I was thinking about it, and it sort of was just I really liked it. I really, really liked this movie. I don't know if I loved it, but it's very good, and yeah, I would highly recommend it. Go see it. I hope people really enjoy it. If you did, you should leave a comment down below and tell us what you thought of it as well. We want to know. But, Erwin.
Yes.
What should they...
Daniel.
Yeah.
Sorry. It just feels like you've been saying my name and I haven't said yours.
Yeah, you don't say it a lot.
Daniel.
Yeah. What are they going to do?
Not call you a fan.
Yeah, because that sounds like a lyric from like a Travis Scott song. Or really any rapper.
I don't know. Wait, they're gonna like and subscribe and comment.
Kendrick Lamar goes, he a fan. Drake.
Whoa!
They are going to comment
yes
down below, like and subscribe,
yes,
and stick around because we're going to have a review next week for 2 different things. A movie I'm excited for and a movie that I'm looking forward to. I wouldn't say excited, even though I love the first 2. A Quiet Place Day 1.
Oh, yeah.
Are you looking forward to it? Are you excited for it?
I think I'll be excited once the movie starts.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I love the first 2. Yeah. I don't remember the second one, but
I don't remember the second one.
I remember the first one because it's so simple.
Yes.
And Kinds of Kindness is exciting because that's Yorgos Lanthimos, and I've heard mixed things about it and that makes me even more excited because hopefully we have a lot to talk about because we hardly ever disagree. I hope he hates it and I love it. So
or vice versa.
No, I want it to be that
way. So you already expected to love this movie.
I hope. Okay, fine. I hope that. I hope that I'm.
I expect nothing.
I hope that I'm nothing on this, and that we have nothing to talk about. And it's 2 minutes long.
And we're just sitting here like,
and we just stare at the camera for an hour. I'm like, so Emma Stone's in it, and
5 out of 5.
Willem Dafoe's in it.
10 out of 5.
Jesse Plemons is in it.
9 out of 5.
Hey, I love him. He's awesome. People say that he's like discount Matt Damon, but he's an amazing actor.
What?
Well, they used to say that, and then he was in more stuff. I don't know if they say that anymore.
No, yeah.
I hope they don't.
They're great, though.
They also don't look alike anymore.
I don't see similarities.
Really?
No.
People like thought he looked exactly like Matt Damon in Breaking Bad.
I don't see it.
Well, I mean, yeah, people used to call him Meth Damon because of Breaking Bad.
These people are good.
It was me.
Actually,
I did it. I'm people. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We will see you next time.